Why are you so mean to yourself? You say things to your own heart you'd never say to someone you love. You call it discipline, you call it accountability, but let's be real, it's self-abuse disguised as self-improvement. You pick apart your own reflection, you obsess over your mistakes, you hold yourself to standards you wouldn't wish on your own enemy. And for what? To prove you're worthy of what you already are? I've heard that voice before, the one that tells you you're behind, that you're not doing enough, that you're running out of time. But I need you to understand the truth. That voice isn't you, it's a loop. It's an old program built from rejection, comparison, survival. If you saw how far you've come, how much you've carried, how many times you chose growth over comfort, you wouldn't talk to yourself like that. You'd thank yourself. You'd realize that, you know what, you're not lazy. You might just be a little tired. You're not failing, you're evolving. What if you gave yourself the same grace you give to people who have hurt you? What if you forgave yourself, not because you earned it, but because you're human? You're not behind, you're just moving at your own pace. And when you stop rushing to meet someone else's timeline, you'll finally hear what your own soul's been trying to say. You are doing better than you think, and you're allowed to love yourself through the process.
Just get started. Just get started. The longest time in the world is the hesitation between thought and action. You can hesitate for 1 second to get started on something, a workout, a project, a task, something that you know you should do. You can hesitate for 1 second. That 1 second of hesitation, all of a sudden it turns into 5 seconds, and then 10 seconds, and then 10 minutes. And then just like that, you drifted into the eternity zone. 1 second became an eternity because something that was gonna happen is now never gonna happen, ever. Why is that? Because you hesitated.
And if you really want to avoid all the critics in your life, then do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing, and you never get their attention. But if you are something and you're doing something, and you become something, guess what? You get their attention. And that pisses them off because they could never be what you are now. So the only thing they can do to make them feel good is try to bring you down. I say thank you for that. Thank you for acknowledging the fact that I'm doing something, because I don't know who the you are, and you seem to know who I am.
It's about to be your time. You about to have a major comeback. Why? Because you've been putting in the work. You've been focused on healing and putting away distractions. You've been focused on growth. And now, all you gotta do is just wait and watch how the script flips. Watch how you go from feeling lost and stagnant to you walking in peace and purpose. It's about to be your time.
The journey to greatness is taking every win just like your loss, and don't separate the two. Stick with it. It changes your life and a lot of people around you forever.
If you're going to have an interesting life, you can't have all of the other interesting lives you would have had.
It's incredible the things you won't do, like the potential that we all have. Like we're all privileged in a sense, right? Because we all get one life. You can't have an easy life and a great character. You've got to kind of go out there and decide what you want. That's the first great adventure.
Your dreams are waiting on you. If you want to change your life, you got to do it. You got to put in the work. You got to take the action. You got to go through the process.
You're never, ever, ever, ever going to feel like doing the things you need to do in order to have what you want. You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. So what is the net advice on this? What is the bottom line? The bottom line is no one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. And because you're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now or that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not. We're not wired that way. You weren't born that way, you weren't that way when you were growing up, and you're certainly not that way as an adult. And there's a tremendous amount of liberation that comes when you accept the fact that you're always going to need to give yourself a push.
quicker you could focus on how to fix it, the quicker you can learn from your failure, the quicker you can anchor those emotions, those feelings. That's when knowledge becomes wisdom. Information, we can all get it. There's more information out now than ever before in history. So knowledge is easy to find in today's world. Information, easy to find. Wisdom, that's hard to come by, because wisdom is when you take knowledge, take information, put it into play, get your ass kicked in some places, learn from your mistakes, learn from the pain, and power through. So, again, this is what I want you to think about. I don't care where you are. If you hold a grudge shorter than anybody else, go shorter. If you rebound from a failure quicker than anyone you know, rebound quicker. Successful people rebound fast. And while they're rebounding, they're actually learning from the horrible experience they had. Transform the experience. Transform the experience from something you call a failure, something painful, into, wow, I got that one out of the way. I learned from it. I know what to do next.
Needs something else that's going to get you off the hook. And it has to be that core belief system in your life. A belief system that you put in place when you were emotionally sober. And you said to yourself, I'm making a pledge. I do and believe that which moves me towards my goals, period. Not when it's convenient, always. And that becomes the guiding light in my life. If the guiding light in your life is that you only do and believe that which moves you towards your goals, when you get into that loop of beating yourself up and thinking that you're worthless or that you're never gonna make it, remember that. That belief does not serve you. And you don't do things that don't serve you.
Limiting belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm too young, I'm too old. Somehow we have information and experiences that says this is real. But what does that really mean? What it means is not only does it affect what we do or don't do, but it affects the lens by which we're seeing the world. We only see the world through the lens of our empowering beliefs or disempowering beliefs. So imagine if you had a lens, whether it's on your camera or on your glasses, and all of a sudden you put a coating on it to take out all the blue light. You're not going to see the world the same. All the blue light is gone. Well, limiting beliefs or empowering positive beliefs do the exact same thing.
Responsibility to me it's about understanding and knowing that you have the power to control your destiny, that it's about living your life from a place of creation, that most people go through life doing what I call living their lives as volunteer victims. When you take responsibility for your life, it's about knowing that you have to develop yourself, that you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. You have to develop your mind, you have to develop your skills, you have to have a talent, ability that you are cultivating so that you can create value for the world with what it is you have, with your gift.
But that's where it starts. It starts with a willingness to persist long after it's boring. It starts with the ability to focus on your end customer long after you're exhausted. It starts with the ability to think about those people that you really want to serve when you're scared and have no idea how you're going to pull it off. But you chose to believe that you could do it. You chose to believe that. And because you chose to believe that, you were able to achieve excellence.
Going out and doing the hard things to see how much of your potential you can actuate, pursuing greatness in a very specific direction is, I believe, the only thing that will make people happy. So when I look at depression, anxiety, all on the rise, all rampant, people feeling lost, not knowing what they want to do, where they want to be, the answer is decide you're going to be extraordinary at something because it gives you more energy than it takes. But get that thing in your life and then go after it with everything you have, with total disregard for balance. That you pour yourself into it in a way, you give yourself over to it. And I think we have one more bifurcation. You've got the family, which provides a similar sense of deep fulfillment, and I think that's a perfectly valid choice. And then on this side, you've got an equal lack of balance, all in, totally committed, do or die, I would give myself over to this thing that I'm building, right? And that's where I'm at.
Believe that all of us have a responsibility that we want to live a life that will outlive us. The work that you're doing. There are people that you will never meet, whose lives that you've transformed, that you're living a life that will outlive you. But because of something you say, or you interrupt that story of being hopeless and powerless and not wanting to be here anymore, and because they took the time to watch, you create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. Until at the end of the program, at the end of one of your presentations, there are people who their lives will be transformed and they will become a pencil, as Mother Teresa would say, in the hand of God, and start writing a new chapter with their lives.
I almost made it. But, screw but. We all have that. We all have something. We're all different. We all have unique circumstances, but the people who make the difference are the ones that stay in the game and have a process to get through the game.
When you wake up in the morning, your willpower is strongest. When you wake up in the morning, you've got a full well of mental focus, and we know that focus in our world is even more valuable than intelligence. You've got the world to yourself. There's no crowds. You can think, you can plan, you can care for yourself in a world where so many people are so depleted.
The impact I want to have in the world is for everybody to be able to face who they are. You can put your life on a billboard. You're not ashamed of what life made you, what you helped life make you. You're no longer ashamed of it. Stop judging yourself against other people who have hidden it better than you. I want you to realize that this world, life, is one big head game. And once you learn to play the head game, it's no longer a game anymore at all. You can start living your life.
The only thing that got me out of bed was shame. So you have to understand that people had not misidentified me. This is not a story of someone who was born extraordinary. People just couldn't see it, that I was secretly this amazing person who was just waiting for their opportunity to shine. This was somebody who was lazy as, had no idea what they were gonna do with their life. I had no idea how I was gonna pull it off. I was absolutely terrified. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw me staring back, and I knew how lazy I was. I knew how afraid I was. I knew how insecure I was. I knew that at my core, I wanted people to like me, and I was terrified that they had every reason in the world not to like me. But instead of becoming someone who was worthy of self-respect, I was trying to create the illusion that I was something, because that seemed like I could do it fast, instead of just buckling down and doing the hard-ass work of becoming somebody new.
In the race of life, life's not going to give you a glass of water when you're thirsty. You work on mental callousing on a daily basis, because even though your brain, your mind, your brain isn't a muscle so much, you will lose it. You will lose the ability to suffer in the worst of times if you come out of it for too long.
Because I had one failed misunderstanding. I believed that my talent and intelligence were fixed traits. I was born a certain way, and life was about making the most of what I'd been born with. What I did not yet understand is the reason humans are the ultimate apex predator is because we are the ultimate adaptation machine.
So you have to watch who's speaking into you. You've got to begin to monitor your mind. And you've got to begin to literally be proactive in programming yourself to success. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've got to take responsibility to make that happen. And as you begin to do that, you'll begin to see some incredible changes in your life. I understand now when Earl Nightingale said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. As you begin to look at your dreams and look at your goals, write this down. Make know your vitamin. See, most people stop short of their dreams and park and get off the highway of life because of the rejections of life. You will always be rejected. It's no big deal. Jack Canfield said rejection is a myth. It's not like when somebody says no and then they slap you.
You need to be clear what it is you really want. I always tell people, know not only what you want, but why you want it. I know this is simplistic, but most people just don't do the blocking and tackling of their life. When you're not sure what you're gonna do, you're gonna hesitate. And hesitation kills momentum. And momentum is what makes a sports team win. It's what makes an athlete, a business person win. When you get momentum, it takes enormous energy to get a rocket out of our gravitational pull of the Earth. But out the solar system's easy. Once it has momentum, it takes less fuel, less energy. Starting a relationship, starting a business, changing a body, it takes so much in the beginning. But once you get going, it's actually really easy.
Live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self, to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are.
All of us, if you're really going for something extraordinary, I think all of us are going to fail at least as much as we succeed, maybe more. And so fearing the low moments is not the right way to think about it. Recontextualize that failure as a learning opportunity. Earn people's respect, not command it. Earn people's respect by getting back up on your feet. And if you rebound quickly with energy and enthusiasm, even if some people take the opportunity to kick you while you're down, in the long run, people will gravitate towards you because they see that you're real, you're not posing.
To me, make know your vitamin. Get excited about the no. Why? Because every time someone says no, that brings you another step to a yes. You're getting closer. Trust me, you will win if you don't quit. You will win if you don't quit. Even a broke clock is right twice a day.
Earning respect. You're going to be getting so good at something that you can't be denied. And this is one of those things that I say without judgment. I'm not saying that you're not talented. I'm not saying that you haven't demonstrated competence, but I am saying that if you can be ignored, the only way out of that is to continue to get better, get to the point, show it so many times that it is just self-evident.
When something happens to you, you don't deny it, you defy it. And I was defiant that I'm going to beat this, I'm going to handle this. That there are people who many times when something happens to them, that they embrace it from a place of fear and it takes them out. And L.C. Robinson said, things may happen to you and things may happen around you, but the most important things are the things that happen in you.
Turn your wounds into wisdom. You will be wounded many times in your life. You'll make mistakes. Some people will call them failures. But I have learned that failure is really God's way of saying, excuse me, you're moving in the wrong direction.
Partly because you have something valuable to bring into the world. It's the thing about being an individual. As an individual, you have a light that you have to bring into the world. And that if you don't bring it into the world is a dimmer place. And that's a bad thing, because when the world is a dim place, it can get very, very, very dark. You need to take care of yourself because you're in the best position to do that.
When you want to succeed, as bad as you want to breathe, young man, then you will be successful in any area of your life.
I truly believe that thoughts are the greatest vehicle to change power and success in the world. Everything begins with thoughts.
Hard thing to accept, but in our lives, we are getting out of our life right now exactly what we believe we're worthy of, exactly what we think we deserve.
Our life is a direct reflection of our identity, which is the thoughts, concepts, beliefs, values, and worth we hold true to be about ourselves. And so as hard as it is to accept, we're getting out of life right now what we believe we're worth.
Fighting yourself to maintain positivity is the hardest fight you ever gonna have. And it's like that struggle to just stay my course, to, be the person in the world that I wanted to be no matter what people said. I started to call it offensive positivity.
Weak people are a problem in general. And I don't mean physically weak, I mean cowardly, let's say, and deceitful, because I'm thinking it more in terms of moral weakness. Don't make your pathway, if you don't pick a forthright and useful and noble pathway through life, then you'll become bitter and too hurt by the tragedy of existence. And then you tend to seek your revenge wherever you can get it. And that's not good.
And what you have to figure out if you're stuck is, are you the kind of person that is guilty of needing, wanting, and waiting for external forces, people, an event, some outside force to kick you in the ass so that you'll finally do the stuff that you've been dreaming about doing? I want to tell you something. No one's coming. No one.
Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. If you can be still long enough in all of your endeavors, the good times, the hard times, to connect yourself to the source. I call it God, you can call it whatever you want, to the force, nature, Allah, the power. If you can connect yourself to the source and allow the energy that is your personality, your life force, to be connected to the greater force, anything is possible for you.
Responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally. That you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. See, as long as you're breathing, you got a shot at your dream. That's the way I resolve. Say this, please. It's not over till I win.
The victim mindset, it is real in the sense that there are definitely people in the world that have a harder situation than others. That's fact. There's no debating that point, that there are people who have it are harder than other people. And in our small bubbles, our hardship feels like the worst thing that could ever happen. And that's the craziest thing about pain, is that you only think pain is bad when you're really going through it. And we compare our pain with other people's pain. So the reason why I encourage people to get out of that mindset is because that's just a one-way ticket to a lifelong commitment to sadness, disappointment, lethargy, complacency, and feeling stuck and lost. There's nothing gained out of feeling sorry for yourself.
And we believe we're worth it because of these patterns and our identity. The highest level is to choose the emotions we want to experience and to begin to run patterns that serve us and eliminate the ones who move us further from them.
Life is an openness. Death is closing, isn't it? Death is a closure. Life is a possibility. If you're just alive, everything is open. This is all people are doing to themselves. I like this guy, I don't like that guy, this is somebody I love, that's somebody I hate, this belongs to me, this doesn't belong to me. They're just killing themselves step by step. They are planning to die in installments. If you want to live, here you are. You must make up your mind whether you want to live or you want to die. You want to know the certainty of death in life. This is called belief, this is called belonging, this is called identification, because you are trying to find the certainty of death in the seamless process of life.
Not weakness, vulnerability. That's a whole different thing. To admit to the fact that you're vulnerable, well, that's a form of courage. That's not a form of weakness. But that leads you to take whatever steps are necessary to deal with that properly. It isn't some facade that you're invulnerable. No one is invulnerable by any stretch of the imagination. And to stand up and face that is the best route that you have.
Where other people are seeing a failure or a setback or even a little problem, you want to look for the gold.
Live your life from truth and you will survive everything. Everything. You will survive everything if you can live your life from a point of view of truth.
Why? Like, if you had to boil it down, why do most people fail? Got it locked? The answer is they never start. The moment we switch on that system for alert or for emergency, we alter ourselves in some way. And all of that response that we have to an environment that we perceive as threatening or dangerous pretty much causes us to move out of balance. And when you're out of balance, you're in survival. When you're in survival, you want to rush to get things done. You can't be present. You know, you believe everything that equal to the feeling of fear or hostility because information is relevant to you in that emotional state. So teaching people then that they have some type of control over that sympathetic response, that emergency system that switches on, is preparing you for something you can't predict. That's an unknown, something you can't control. That survival system causes us to move more into our animal nature. So short term, it's great, but you keep doing it over and over again, you start becoming more and more conditioned to that rush of energy. So teaching people how to self-regulate, teaching them how to move back into the present moment, teaching them that they can shorten their responses. It's really not that you react. I mean, we all react. The question is, how long are you going to react for? Because if you keep that reaction going, then you can't perceive any change in your environment. You won't have any ability to heal. So you become more affected by your environment.
Really believe that it's about getting them to understand that you will be happy and fulfilled if you do whatever you do in your life off your own steam. You know, I think that's, for me, the single biggest learning is like, don't look for shortcuts. Don't look for people to give you handouts. Like, go figure it out for yourself, because that is what will make you the most satisfied, happy person that you can be.
Now, the reason that most people never start is because they don't think that they're going to get a result from their actions. And then that's going to come down to a belief that they believe about themselves. I don't have the natural talent. I wasn't born at the right time or in the right neighborhood. My parents didn't teach me that. The hard thing is taking the first step. Everything else is just persistence.
If you want to be great, you want to be best ever at what you do, you're going to be misunderstood by everybody, because you're going to be so obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes. It takes every second of your life. Anybody says balance? Yeah, balance is important for a lot of people. It is. But if you want to go to that edge where people do not like you, don't understand you, question everything you do, you've arrived. I mean, you are misunderstood to the point where people think you're psycho and you're nuts and you're this and that. Why are you in the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning? You will never understand what is wrong with me. Spot. When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive. I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it. I don't want you to get it.
Failure thing
is a really big, scary topic for people. But it is like, it absolutely paralyzes people. And I don't know how to explain to you that until you've been to the depths of the canyon of despair, like that's where the learning and the growth comes from, and you come back so much stronger on the other side. And if you haven't done that, then you haven't failed, then there was no point. But I do feel like you get to a point later in your career, for anyone, the stakes get higher, it gets tougher. And if you haven't been through some really shitty times and endured, you will not have the intestinal fortitude to handle it.
Life's beauty and its fragility are interwoven. So for every single person, the normal experience of life is that we're going to have illness, we're going to have loss, we're going to have breakups. And so when we force ourselves to always be positive, we're not living in the world as it is, we're living in the world as we wish it to be. In other words, forced positivity is not healthy. Forced positivity is denial. Forced positivity is avoidance. Forced positivity is gaslighting yourself. It's basically pretending to yourself that your inner experience is not valid and trying to paper over your inner experience with something else because culture tells us to. So our difficult thoughts, emotions, and stories are actually normal. They are part of our body and psychology's way of adapting to threat, to looking out for things that might be going wrong. We have around 16,000 spoken thoughts every single day, and many more thousand that course through our mind. You operating from a place of hustling with your emotions actually takes resources, and so you're not able to then bring yourself in a way that's breathing and centered into your experience.
So what's the difference? And he said, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. You'll come up with stories and excuses and reasons why you can't, and we'll use your education as an excuse or use your story as an excuse. You'll use all of that as your reasons why you can't. He says, but if you're committed, you will do whatever it takes. You'll let go of your stories. You'll let go of your excuses. You'll let go of all the reasons you currently have that are formulating your identity of yourself. And you'll learn how to let that go and become who you are destined to become.
Only belief that matters is that you can learn anything. The only thing I want to know, who are you willing to become and what's the price you're willing to pay to get there?
You can use a simple trick. The moment you feel yourself hesitate, the moment you've got one of those moments where you got to step outside of your comfort zone and you've got to lean into your passion and you've got to really take some risks and you got to feel the fear and you got to do it anyway, that's the moment where you just woke up and now you got a decision to make. Are you going to drift back into the habits, or are you going to awaken your prefrontal cortex and drive forward and focus and do something new?
You have two voices in our mind, and boy, I know they're true. I've heard them, I hear them now, and they're real. It's that one voice, that voice I used to love to hear, that we love to hear. It's that soft mother, it's okay. It's that calming voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured, that says it's going to be okay. Well, there's another motherfucking voice that wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your boyfriend. It's that demon fucking voice. You're not good enough. You gotta work harder. You haven't put enough time in. It's that voice you want to run away from. It's that voice you don't want to hear. But guess what? It's that voice you need to listen to.
Should I quit? Should I give in? I spent the first 5 years daily contemplating quitting. It wasn't fun. And there's just a part of you, I think, in anything you're doing when you're struggling, is this really for me? Is this my destiny? Should I be doing this? And we misread failure from some sign. You know, is this a sign I shouldn't be doing it? You know, is this a sign I am, you know, not cut out for this? Instead of looking for signs that you can win, right? And so I spent the first 5 years literally trying to find ways to quit, trying to find ways to get out, struggling and struggling and struggling.
I believe the very meaning of life is to find out how many skills you can acquire that have utility, and then put that utility to the test in service of someone else. I worked my ass off for this set of skills. They are unique to me, and they help other people. And in being able to help other people was something that I worked very hard for. I feel good about myself. And I will make you guys one promise right here today. The game you're playing, please listen to this. The game that you're playing is not success. The game that you're playing is not money. The game that you're playing is brain chemistry. It's about fulfillment. The only thing ultimately that's ever going to matter in your life is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself.
I think everybody has fear all wrong. People have so many theories about fear. They talk about, oh, well, I'm afraid of success. No, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of intimacy. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of the other thing. There's actually only two fears. Only two. Life is about persuading people. Life is about influencing people. And fear is the invisible force that will make you ineffective at that. It will stop you.
Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Things are impossible till somebody does it. But most people have strategies available, or they could get them, or you could create them. But the problem is you got a story. And your story is why it isn't working.
Oh, I've got this great idea, but I just don't know if it's the right time. And you know what I say to them? I say, yeah, you know, you're right. The recession, it's huge. You should wait. Those drains, yeah, put them on hold. That's right. Yeah, you should stay in that job you can't stand just a little bit longer. You get college bills to pay. I mean, you know, what you're doing, it's fine. You're busy, right? You know, that's right. You know exactly what you want. And the only thing that you need to do is to admit it. Now, this may sound weird because I know most of you came in here because you're like, I know what I want. I'm here at success. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm talking about something bigger. Much bigger.
What's the decision? You already know. I could go backstage now. There's something you've been hesitating on. There's a contact you need to make, isn't there? There's a job you need to quit. There's a relationship you need to engage in. Maybe there's a relationship you need to leave. I don't know what it is, but I know there's a decision that you need to make to take you to the next level, just like I know that's true for me. Because decisions shape our destiny when they're backed up by some massive ass action. Okay, but you can't take the action if you don't decide. People avoid being desperate. Think of the fact they come here tonight and they're down. They're not where they want to be financially. The relationships aren't what they want. Maybe they're in a desperate place, and you might think that's a negative thing. But when you're in a desperate place, you take the best actions. Desperation is a great place to be. Those of you that are achieving, one of the reasons the achievement is slowed down is you've allowed yourself to feel less desperate. When you were broke and starting your business, or when you were brand new in your relationship, when you remove desperation, all this bullshit creeps into your life where you think you have to have the perfect plan and look the perfect way and have the perfect thoughts and be all zen and perfect. What you need is to be desperate.
And one of the things I emphasize that changing is not easy, but changing your life, changing habits, reinventing yourself, picking yourself up after life has knocked you flat on your back. I've got to say, when life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you could get up. Well, that sounds cute, but that's not easy. So I've got to dig in and got to fight more, because at the end of the day, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. And so it's a fight, it's a challenge in life, every day. And what we have to do is embrace it. What we have to do is see it as a project to be worked on. I read something once that I lived by. It said, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
And if that's the game that we're playing, if I can construct my belief system, if I can choose at any moment, believe something that's more empowering than I was believing the moment before, and that will actually find its way into my actions, allow me to do things that I couldn't do the moment before. Any moment, you can choose to believe something new about yourself. Now, the weird thing about belief is as soon as you change that belief, it becomes true.
You have to be who you are every day of your life and never care about anybody who gets in your way that says you're not doing something the proper way. And what happens is this: you start to create a whole bunch of people that aren't even yourself. You never figure out who you are. You never live up to your dreams, your ambition. You live up to what whoever is around you that you like so much, that you want to emulate and be like so much, you live their dreams. You lose your power. The ultimate power is owning yourself.
Makes me think of the lotus. The lotus is a flower that grows in swamps, and yet it's one of the most beautiful flowers in the world. So this first way to navigate hard times is to really gather perspective, to really ask yourself, to go up to your mountaintop and then look across and really get a sense of the truth of what's going on. Your gratitude, what you're grateful for, how could this be worse? Perspective also involves remembering the shortness of life.
It's okay. You use whatever means you want to feel the sweetness of your emotion. But you must understand, it's the sweetness of your emotion. I am asking you, what happens within you? Why is it determined by somebody else? What happens within you if it's determined by somebody else? This is the worst form of slavery. It's not only love, your happiness, your joy, your peacefulness, your love, anything that happens within you, when your inner experience is determined by something or somebody, that is the worst form of slavery.
Discovering your why is just the beginning. In order to enjoy all the benefits of having a clearly articulated why, you'll need to have the courage and discipline to use it. Like Thomas Edison said, vision without execution is hallucination. There is an ideal order for implementing your why, though sometimes reality does get in the way, and it all starts with you. Our natural tendency is to start with the tangible. We define our value by what we do.
What we do in life is, we've all gone through suffering. We've all gone through hard times, and we've made it. But when you're in the midst of suffering, what our mind does is this: you think about the now, and there's no strength in it.
Most people never go after what they want because they don't know every step they have to take to get there. Now, the only rule for reaching a goal that you have to know is knowing where you're going and knowing that you're going to get there. You do not have to know how you're going to get there.
Because I think few things are as powerful to wake you up, to remind you about what's most important, to fuel your energy, to get you into the game so you let go of your fears and you do what you need to do to get big things done, than connecting to your immortality. When you realize that every single day could be your last, or when you appreciate that no matter how long you live, life is a short ride, you just sort of let go of the fears and you let go of the limits and you live full on and you seize opportunities and you have real conversations with real people and you sort of wear your heart on your sleeve and you bring on the fullness of your authenticity and you do whatever it takes to get your loftiest dreams to get done.
See, first of all, you must decide,
Is your life in pursuit of happiness, or is it an expression of joy? No, love is not something that you do. Love is something that you can become, it's your quality. If your mind is in a certain way, it's joyful. If your emotions are in a certain way, it's loving. This is the quality of sweetness of body. If your body becomes sweet and pleasant, it's called health and pleasure. If your mind becomes very pleasant, it's called peacefulness and joyfulness. If your emotions become pleasant, it's called love and compassion. If your very life energy becomes pleasant, it is called blissfulness and ecstasy.
You need an ideal because you have nothing to aim at, but an ideal is a judge, and you always fall short of the ideal. So how the hell can you have the benefits of having an ideal without having the crushing blow that goes along with having the judge that always regards you as insufficient? You need a goal, but we don't want to let your distance from the goal crush you. So you got to set up a goal, and then you got to make the goal, break the goal down into parts so that you can move towards it and you have a fairly high likelihood of doing it. Set a high aim, but differentiate it down so you know what the next step is, and then make the next step difficult enough so you have to push yourself past where you are, but also provide yourself with a reasonable probability of success.
You only have to know two things. You have to know where you're going, and you have to know that you're going to get there. You've got to see it in your mind. Now, this is the beautiful scenario. This is what it's all about. Save that in your mind and think of it often. Think, every time you think of your goal and you're trying to figure out how you're going to do it, what's the next step? That's all you really have to know. One step at a time, and you'll get to wherever you're going.
We live on a tiny planet in a large galaxy with trillions of other planets. Are our problems really that big? That's perspective.
Body, your mind, your soul will want to communicate with you, but they can't communicate with you if you're always rushing around and ever all over the place. So the answers are not within me, the answers are within you, and they become more clearer as you become more silent, more still, and allow yourself to have that inner connection from your inner guide.
This life is a complete life by itself. If this is a complete life, it's joyful, loving, wonderful by its own nature. Now, when it's feeling so wonderful, it may want to share this wonderfulness with people around. You can share this with thousands of people, but you also want a more intimate sharing to happen. For that, you need one person.
If you are in a dark place and you hear change is real, change is possible, doesn't that lift your mood? Don't you want that to be true? And once you allow it, because you have to allow it, once you allow that to lift your mood, and you're like, I feel better just by thinking I can change. That was huge for me. That was like moment one, was when I realized I actually can change. So this thing that feels like a death threat, this like smothering cloud of just like despair, it can clear away. And it immediately, and it's not like, oh, it went from gray skies to blue skies. It wasn't that immediate, but it literally immediately a lighter load just because I realized I can change. And people are always looking for, how do I have the energy? I'm depressed, I'm down on myself. How do I get the energy to push through? Man, you've got to find a way to find energy in that. You can change. So whatever position you're in right now, you can change, no matter what it is, no matter how horrific, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done. Like, there is a way out from under it. But part of it is allowing that sense of lightness to be there. This one fact would change their life forever. You don't get skills because it looks good on the resume. You get skills because it lets you do the thing you want to do.
The stronger the emotion you feel from some outer experience in your life, the more altered you feel, the more the brain freezes the frame and takes a snapshot. Well, now you're freezing the frame in the outer environment, but if you're truly in the present moment and you know exactly what you want, when the heart moves into this kind of rhythm, when you're feeling frustration, when you're feeling impatient, when you're feeling resentment, you are stepping on the gas pedal The heart is pumping against a closed system and it causes an erratic beat. It becomes incoherent. And energy literally leaves the heart. Now, you no longer believe in your future. You can't put your heart into your future. You can't trust the outcome because there's no energy. It's being used and consumed somewhere else, so energy is leaving the brain as well. But once energy starts to move into the heart begins to create a wave of energy right to the brain. And all of a sudden you see this wave, and the person starts to get a very clear idea. They see their future very clearly, which is the state of creation. This is when you no longer hear the voice in your head that's talking to you that you listen to and believe is the truth. It suppresses the default mode network, and the next thing you know, you start seeing in pictures and images. You start dreaming. And that's the imagination, that's the creative state. So now you start naturally imagining the heart is the creative center.
I think one of the biggest challenges with change is too much pressure, especially when someone has other challenges that affect the challenge of distraction. And I would look at small incremental changes. Small changes, but a big priority in their life. The challenge I find is that too many of us are trying to change too many things all at the same time. Small step, big priority. Try and change one small thing, but make it the biggest priority of the week. What we do, we try and make big steps and make them all small priorities. And so we want to shift that, right? Shift it the other way around. So help that person find a small, little baby step that they can take. Like children have moments in their life where certain things start evolving for them. That's how we're built, that's how we're wired. So allowing that to happen continuously, even when we grow older, makes it easier for that person as well.
We all get to decide what our values are, what our belief system is, what our rules in life are, the code of ethics that we live by. Those are all decisions that people mistake for empirical truth. But if you want to know how just unempirically true it is, look across all societies, they don't share it. The reality is that we're all constructing this belief system, value system, honor code, all of it, and it's going to determine what we do and how we do it.
How about you not wait to get it right? You figure out how does it look doing it wrong. What are you waiting on? Are you willing to do it afraid? Are you willing to do it knowing that you got so much work to do to get it better, to get it more perfect, but are you willing to do it inside your imperfection? Do you realize that in your imperfection, you're perfect for the job?
Here's another great fact. You can change your thoughts anytime you like. And if you change your thinking, it changes your entire life.
You have a sophisticated sense of the world. You find, for example, that doing things for other people is actually more rewarding than virtually anything else you can do. You know, when you hear you should be of service to other people. Well, if you actually watch yourself, you pay attention to yourself and you do something that helps someone else, that it genuinely helps them, I defy you to find another experience that is that satisfying. It's actually quite stunning how satisfying that is. And so that's a very useful thing to realize.
Because when you're talking to yourself, who is talking and who is listening? It's only one of you, but we act like there's two. So the one who's talking, that say, you're inadequate, you're never going to amount to anything, you're not perfect, you need to wait, it's not the right time, calls this resistance. It's profound, it's deep. All the problems come from resistance. But who is that voice talking to? It's talking to a voice that wants to be trusted. It's talking to a voice that once said something creative, once did something that was funny, once made something better. All of us have done it at least once. And then along the way, resistance and that voice persuaded us not to trust that self. And if we turn off social media, the only person left to talk to is the self. And if we can adopt a practice and give the self room, it will surprise us. It won't always be right. It won't always be successful, but it will always be better than your hustling, hacking way of just playing with the system.
The way you feel about everything is down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words. The way you feel about everything, every minute of every day, is only down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say.
I need you to give a thank you to everyone that did not believe in you. I want you to give a thank you to everyone that said you would never amount to anything. A thank you to everyone that thought they were better than you and would finish before. Because they gave you hurdles to overcome. They gave you obstacles that you could climb over. They gave you trenches that you had to find a way out of. They gave you mountains to climb. But when you did that, you found that you could go the lowest of lowest. You could climb through the hardest of times and overcome the biggest of obstacles, and realize that when you got to that level, no one gave that. You need to thank haters.
If I'm consistent, I give myself the opportunity to be exceptional. I feel as if it's a lot of exceptional people that are not consistent. And so their talent and their skill set has extended them to a place that their character can't sustain.
I'm not undermining your pain. I'm not undermining and making what you're going through insignificant. But I do want to minimize it, and I want to maximize you. I want to minimize your struggle. I want to maximize your faith. I want to minimize that hard time, and I want to maximize your greatness. Because a lot of us, what we do is we maximize the struggle, and we let the struggle become this mountain. We let the struggle become our identity. We let the struggle become our story, and we stay there. And I quickly realized something. I realized that the bills were still coming in. I realized that the calendar was still turning. I realized that the clock didn't stop. I realized that people went on with their life. I realized that the seasons were still changing. I realized that the world was still going on.
In fact, if you don't have people that hate on you, it's because you haven't done anything.
The wealthiest place on the planet is the graveyard. Because in the graveyard, we will find inventions that we never ever were exposed to. Ideas, dreams that never became reality. Hopes and aspirations that were never acted upon. Because most people allow that inner conversation, for whatever reason, to keep them from ever pursuing their goal. Why is it that most people don't ever reach their goals or live up to their true potential? One is fear. And there are only two kinds of fears that we're born with: the fear of falling and the fear of a loud sound. All other fears we learn, like the fear of failure.
If I give you everything I got and I come up short, I can deal with that, right? I can deal with it every day of the week, but what I can't deal with is knowing that I didn't give everything I had to something and demanding a certain result or reward from something that I did show up and give everything I had to.
The reason why you're worthy is because your name can't leave their mouth, because they are supposed to hate on you. They're supposed to hate on you so that somebody can be announcing that you're coming. No king will come into a court and you not acknowledge it. Look at who you are. You are royalty. It is born in you. Your DNA is made up of something special, because everyone that's tried to stop knew suffering was coming. And whatever that version of you is, when it arrives, you'll understand why they were afraid. Because the little moment they had, the advantages they held on to them, it was just for a moment. But when you arrive, when you finally see why all those things that were happening against you work together like a puzzle. I needed to be abandoned. I needed to be alone. So I needed to go through hell and back so that I could become someone.
The only question was, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing? I'm gonna ask you again, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing.
And if you stay here in this depression, if you stay here in this self-pity, if you stay here and feel sorry for yourself, even though you have every reason to, this is going to become your identity. This is going to become your story. And everybody else is going to move on with their life. You're waiting for someone to save you. You're waiting for someone to give you a helping hand. You're waiting for some miracle just to happen. Let me tell you something, man. The last time I checked, we were created by a great, listen to me right now. The last time I checked, we were created by a great God. The last time I checked, we were created from Him. The last time I checked, you have greatness inside you. The last time I checked, that miracle that you're searching for, that miracle is here. And every single day you look in the mirror, you can see a miracle.
So keep your head up, put your chest out, walk in with your sense of dignity. You don't need to be validated by anyone because you are already qualified, validated. You are important, you are significant, you are phenomenal, you are amazing, you are a winner because you overcome something. And that is why you can stand in the eye of a storm and be peaceful. They thought you were being enraged the more they held you back. But no, it just made you more determined. People thought that you would give up, people thought you would quit, or that you would resign your post.
See, ladies and gentlemen, life is too short trying to play it safe. It's too short and unpredictable, being miserable. It's too short for that. Here's the thing, there's no safe position in life.
But this is a man. You want to be a leader? You got to go through some stuff. But when you come out of that stuff, you'll be made of something totally different. Welcome to greatness. It was made for you.
And so when you talk about the journey, that's all we got at the end of the day. When the clock stops, when it's all said and done, when we wrap it up, when we fold tent, all you got is your journey and your experiences. That's where the true value is.